We are live. Welcome. All
right, George.
There's the music.
Where's the pole? Why don't you start pole dancing for me at the beginning of this podcast? I'm going to start seeing you in a Speedo pole dancing.
I'm going to have to talk to my agent about that first.
Okay.
Definitely going to have to talk to my agent.
Tear apart the pillowcase for now.
We'll make it work.
Yeah.
Like a laundry bag on the yard.
Yeah, whatever. Use a Bash's bag.
That's funny you bring that up because I remember when I was in Douglas, somebody lost a bet. You remember we used to have to wear those orange vests like on yard crew?
Oh, God.
Yeah. You remember that stuff?
Oh, no. Yeah, I remember.
They turned that thing into a Speedo, and the dude had to run around the yard, like do one lap around the yard with it. That was pretty bad. Well, welcome everybody to the podcast, Outlaws to Advocates. Been a pretty busy week this week. Everybody here has been super productive. Most of us super productive. It's been a good week. I actually had a super busy week, man. I went on 3 different podcasts besides this one.
Nice.
Yeah, mic'd up, psyched up, and I started to realize how much improvement we have to do on our podcast. I went and did the Crossroads one with Kristen Day, which is probably one of the nicest places I've ever been into, let alone do a podcast in. And then I came home and looked at my kitchen table.
Yeah. How original.
The whole facility's profits go to the podcast setup.
It was definitely a shot at an eye-opening experience, let's say that. But it was awesome, man. Kristen's great. We had a really good time. And then I met with Jason and Sarah and Ron and Leslie. They have a podcast, Powerless to Powerful.
Nice.
And yeah, that was pretty cool. They did it at one of the Desert Recovery Centers. Had a blast over there. And then there's another one called the Inside Circle that I did.
Nice.
With a cat out of California. It was cool, man. Just chopping it up with other people, similar mindsets with us, and it was nice just to be able to walk in there, sit down, and talk, and get out of there. You know, kind of the feeling you guys get to do every week when you come in here. You know.
Yeah, but I don't want to leave.
Oh, you can stay as long as you want. So here we are. We got no guests this week. People stopped liking us. Pretty much lost all of our friends. So back down to the 3 of us.
Yeah.
Pretty excited about that. Part of the process, man. Actually, I'm kind of refreshed just to have us here because the 3 of us haven't really sat down and chopped it up. Unfortunately, most of the stuff we talked about before this podcast, we can't talk about on this podcast. So we'll find some stuff. So let's get into the highs and lows, man. For me, again, this week, I got to spend the whole entire day today on Bachman here.
Nice.
At RSAT Recovery Day. And I know, let me not say I know, but I'm pretty sure this was a Leslie Baxley thing. She's a mover and shaker inside of DOC. And it's such a great idea. It is literally such a great idea. I had a guy come up to the table today and he goes, man, thank you guys so much for coming out here. Been locked up over 30 years. I've never seen anything like this before in my life because this is absolutely amazing. You had 2.5 years left, you know, on I guess a 32.5-year sentence. And it was just to be able to have that kind of an impact and the way the staff received everybody that came in on both units, because we did one last week on Tucson and then we did one this week in Buckeye. And the way the staff received us, the staff treated us, they made us feel as much at home as we could.
Like word of me out there still.
I didn't catch the warden's name. I was hanging out with
Charity.
all the New Freedom guys and girls that came with us, and of course Charity. Charity's an unbelievable person. Met some really cool people today, and it was just that was definitely my high. My low for the week, man, is time management. Like I am swamped and trying to figure things out. And like I'm making progress, so I know things are gonna get better. I'm starting to figure out how to schedule a little bit better and what I have to do for work versus the stuff that I've been kind of experimenting on because it's a new position, and I'm learning pretty quickly that there's certain things that I spend a lot of time on tour sometimes and stuff like that. And I'll be able to maneuver and schedule a little bit better, and maybe spread out a little bit more. But yeah, so it doesn't make me any less overwhelmed right now in this moment, but it's nice to see that something on the horizon. Eventually, life will get a little bit less disorganized. But yeah, we're definitely on a path forward. So that's where I'm at for the week. What about you?
I was for the week, went out to California, spoke,
Nice. What'd you do in California?
spoke at a CA meeting.
Good job.
There was 200 people there.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was, and everything was like, it was a elongated room, so it looked like it went back forever. It wasn't like a wide, you know.
Right.
It was just like, it just went on forever. I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many people here, but it only took me like 3 minutes to get warmed up, and I got a lot of really good feedback. There was so many people afterwards that just came up and talked, and it was great. Exchanged numbers. They really, really do a good job of really doing a lot of outreach to newcomers out there. I mean, they have a nice little crew of newcomers that are hitting the book. I mean, they do a really good job. It was great to see.
How are they doing outreach?
Like hospitals, institutions.
Yeah.
Yes, doing everything they can to make sure that that newcomer feels as welcome as possible, and that includes, you know, talking with their families, going to dinners, you know, involving them, right? The invitation. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to watch. What was really, really cool was that the last time that I went out there, the same kids that were new to sobriety were still with them there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, still knocking it. So they're doing a really good job. Shout out to CA out in California. They're doing big things.
I don't know if we have listeners in California, but I know we do have 0.01% in Russia.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Can you repeat that in Russian, please?
That's so cool.
See that right? That tripped me out.
Yeah, it tripped me out.
Putin's listening.
Yeah. On his horse.
Definitely.
No shirt.
No pants either.
Yeah, he's getting a tattoo. Outlaws advocates, right?
Well, speaking of tattoos, Jesse got us some shirts and beanies and hats ordered.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah,
I look
yeah.
forward to that.
We got some Outlaw Advocate swag coming.
Yeah, Lo, coming back. You know, I mean, for whatever reason, I had such a good time. I didn't want it to end. Coming back with you, my loves, is time management.
Oh, I thought you said with me, that's your love.
That's what he meant.
That's what I heard.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, they hit the water after 40, bro. I mean, like, so what do you expect?
Absolutely.
No, it's time management. Even though I have everything scheduled in the calendar, it's like this, you know, hitting the reminders. This thing just doesn't stop all day long. It's just left and right, and there's so much to do and so much to overcome. It's like, sometimes I'm just like, where do I start?
Yeah. The next right thing.
Yeah, it's always the next right thing. But it's like for instance, for example, I filling in for a driver, and then another van breaks down, right? It's like, okay, right? So just doing the best I can with what I have.
Absolutely.
That's all I can do. That's all I can do, and sitting here talking about it and beating myself up over a little bit, I know isn't the solution. But it is overwhelming, just like you're saying. So I like structure. I like discipline. I like things in order. So I think that's part of it.
So you're like the opposite of Jesse.
Yes. Jesse literally like eats over food and then offers it to you.
Nice. Very smooth.
Yeah.
I had to eat George's lunch because we ran into that situation earlier.
It was pretty gross. Pretty gross.
Jeremy ate over my food.
Yeah. No.
Go ahead.
Well, let's,
Come
let's-
clean.
Yeah.
Come clean. Where's the candy?
Yeah.
That's so amazing. What about you, man? What's your high for the week?
Oh man, there were so many of them. So at work, I got offered a new position. I'm going to be teaching a peer support training certification class at a treatment center that I work on. So
Are you excited about that?
ecstatic, man. It's definitely my lane, and it's definitely something that I believe in. And
Why? If you don't mind.
because I currently do it now, and I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life.
Absolutely.
And I think that a lot of somebody having success is finding something that makes them happy, and they're going to hate it, and they're just going to go back to whatever they've always done. If I can empower people into service to where they can start getting the benefit from that and start feeling some of that goodness, I think that'd be a good thing.
And so you were still a peer doing a peer run course, but you were doing framing class,
Correct.
and you never built a house.
No, I've got some construction experience, but definitely peer support is
In
100% my lane.
in wood framing.
A little bit of everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of a jack of all trades.
A little bit of everything, yeah. And when you're a tweaker for your entire life, you kind of get your hands on everything at one time or another. I mean, I don't think there's nothing that I haven't done at least once. Yeah, low for the week though.
Congratulations.
Yeah, low for the week though, definitely just my dad's health. You know, it's just working my butt off, sometimes 50 hours a week, and coming home and just, you know, seeing some of his, you know, struggles going through health and just going through existing and not being able to be there and just seeing him struggle. Just, it's really, really difficult because I'm torn between, you know, having to work and be responsible and be independent and be a productive member of society and want to be home with my dad, but you know, it's like if I just don't work and just stay home, then what's going to happen in the future if something happens to my dad? I'm not going to be able to take care of myself. I'm going to get grow up. So it's like trying to take care of him. Trying to
You
work.
do have some healthcare there, right? Assisted living.
Well, the VA provides 20 hours of caregiver service a week, you know, Monday through Friday, 10 to 2, but it's really not enough. I mean, as he gets older and health gets worse, it becomes more and more difficult. It just depends on how he's feeling that day. It's tough.
Yeah,
You know.
your dad's pretty cool, man. 'Cause I remember when your brother was going through his struggles and your dad needed a ride home that day. I went and picked him up. All right, he gets in the car. We'll get him in the car, and we're driving. And I can see him next to me, and I don't ever sit in the passenger seat. Whoever sat in the passenger seat before him had it leaned all the way back, I guess. And I can see your dad over there struggling, not struggling, but like shifting around, trying to mess with the seat. Couldn't get it, you know. So I was like, hey, is the seat uncomfortable for you? He's like, oh no, it's all right. But I see him struggling. So I pull over to a car dealership. He's all, what are we doing here? Are you buying a car? I was like, no, man, I'm just gonna fix your seat for you. You know, that was the first time I got to spend any time with your dad, and it's cool because it's a nod to being a man, right? That we don't really like to ask for stuff or let people know that we're a little bit uncomfortable. And, you know, sometimes we just gotta lean in and help somebody when, even though they're saying they don't need it, really don't want it, or they're comfortable.
Well, I think that's a great example of, you know, kicking off our topic tonight in friendship. You know, having people like you and Jeremy in my life today, you know, it's nice to be able to have people I can count on for situations like that. Because the kind of people that I was around before, I never, ever could have asked to do something like that. They wouldn't have showed up. They would have ended up ripping my dad off, stealing his wallet, you know, God knows what. You know, but nowadays, you know, if I've got an issue with my dad and I'm working, you know, I can call one of my friends and they'll help out. That's cool.
Yeah, even that day, like when you called me, I was able to go do that. Like, I felt that. I was just like, holy crap! Like I'm the guy my friend calls for help now. I've never been that dude.
Yeah.
You know, I was the guy that my friend didn't let in his house.
And you were the last resort. Nobody else picked up the phone.
Yeah, but the point is, I still got the fucking phone call.
Yeah.
You're not taking that away from me. Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Like, and the friendship thing, it's really important. I went today, like I said, I was talking to a guy at the prison, and he was telling me the same story that we hear a lot. He's like, yeah, man, I'm a hard worker. I'm gonna get out, I'm going back to the house. I got my job, and do all this stuff. I said, awesome, man. What are you doing for your recovery? And he's like, well, I got a good work ethic now. I'm just gonna go home and take care of my stuff. I'm like, did you have that same house the last time you went off to? He's like, yeah. You have a job? He's like, yeah, I've been doing it my whole life. Well, it didn't work then. What are you doing different? You know. And the look on this dude, he was so confused. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, let me ask you a question. Are you good at your job? He's like, well, yeah, I'm great at it. Okay, awesome. How did you get that way? Well, I do it all the time. Okay, cool. So if you want to be, and I tell him because, you know, recovery and, you know, 12 steps and that stuff. But those words are kind of stigmatized. People don't always like to hear them. So when I talk about it with people,
I didn't like to hear it forever.
Yeah, I talk about it as personal development now. I'm like, so what are you doing to get better? Like, what are you doing different? You worked all that time to get a skill, and now you make sounds like a pretty healthy living off of it. But something's not panned out because I'm standing here talking to you in a prison yard while you're incarcerated. He's like, well, I don't know. I never thought about that. You have to be intentional. You have to have some kind of behaviors that are doing that.
And
Not in 30 years.
And you're frozen in time, right?
Yeah.
Like,
You gotta have people in your life that support you.
like a prime example, you know, of myself, right? I studied all these books, got a 2-year degree, still sober. But I didn't read one book on intimate relationships, you know.
That's it.
Yeah, no, it is. It's very evident. And, right? And so addiction, right, what I have found, can come out sideways in other ways if I'm not paying attention. And if it's not trying to kill me one way, it's going to try and kill me another. So, you know, my self-awareness is up.
Yeah, that's something that because you said that, like, where I studied recovery, like I'm not just talking about books, I'm talking about YouTube videos and podcasts and all the consequences of drugs. I'm hyper aware of that.
Going to the meetings inside.
Yeah,
Like
how to talk to people, all that other stuff. You know,
talk
like
about
practice
recovery,
in
talk
prison.
about recovery, think about recovery, over and over.
And then I get behind the wheel of a car,
Yeah.
and I want to give people the finger, and I want to yell at people, and all this like old behavior shit that I have. I don't have any of that in my personal life. You can call me whatever name you want, this and that. I can take it in stride and move on, and it's all good.
Yeah.
But put me behind the wheel of a car, an area of my life that I had zero practice in prison, obviously, because we're not allowed to drive around.
Yeah.
And I don't even know who I am. I'm like drug addict George driving this car, just acting all crazy. And it's something I noticed, like you said. I
Because the old lady won't speed. Because she's going to speed limit, you're upset.
Absolutely. And it's just, it's something that, you know, we can't just worry about, you know, even though substance use has to come first, we have, you know, monitor that and everything else, but not doing drugs and being able to not do drugs, that's awesome. But that's
The beginning,
the very beginning.
not the end.
Yeah, so keeping that balance, like you were saying, is extremely important, man.
Yeah, one of the things that I've noticed, and this is something that I'm pounding to everybody who will listen, is that the people that you have in your life, the people that I have in my life, are a direct result of the direction that I end up going. I mean, for so long in the past, I would get out, I would develop a little bit of clean time, I would think that everything was fine because I wasn't using drugs. And just magically, I would assume that I would be okay having everybody around me using drugs like it would be no big deal because I'm clean, thinking that I'm going to save them or something. And what would end up happening is I would be loaded almost immediately. And today, you know, I have people in my life that aren't using drugs, that work in program recovery, that add value in my life. And what that does is that helps keep me on track, it helps keep me accountable, and it keeps those thoughts as far away from me as possible.
Yeah.
You know, I don't see it, I don't use it, I don't condone it, I'm not around people that condone it. You know, that's so important.
That absolutely is. Dude, I had the most amazing experience the other day. I was driving I had like a meeting and then a podcast and a meeting, right? And I was going out to Desert Recovery for the podcast. And in between the meeting and the podcast, I'm hungry, right?
Of course,
I know.
I was hungry.
Well, after you eat all my food, or eat over all my food. So on the way there,
Literally just put his hands right into your lunch.
open the lid.
Open the
got
lid.
my lunch.
Not closed for a reason.
Oh, so
It's like warm for me.
But so I walk into this restaurant and I don't want to sit at I don't know, I didn't really think about it, right? And so we got to be careful with the stuff we don't think about. But I just knew I didn't want to sit at a table by myself. I don't want to be that guy. So I just walked up to the bar and I sat down at the bar and I ordered my lunch and ordered Dr. Pepper and I'm just eating. Well, this lady sits next to me and she orders an espresso martini. It looked like coffee in a martini glass, so I think it's like an espresso martini or something. She's like, oh, that looks nice. I heard her talk to the bartender. And she looks at me and she goes, what are you drinking? I said, oh, it's just Dr. Pepper. And she's like, you're sitting at the bar? I kind of joking around, you know? And I was like, yeah, I don't drink. And I realized at that moment, like, I hadn't even thought about the alcohol.
Yeah.
Like the bar, like I've been to bars where I've seen people drinking a beer and I'm like, oh man, that looks really good.
Right.
But in that moment,
Yeah.
that part of my brain,
Obsession removed.
yeah, it was removed. And I'm not saying it's removed permanently, but in that moment, it was nice not to be cognizant, to be thinking of, oh man, there's alcohol back there, should I be sitting in the bar? It was just nice to be able to go in, have a sandwich, drink my Dr. Pepper, and walk out.
Well, it's nice today to know what that tape leads to when it's played through. You know, that beer leads to an 8-ball turnaround robbery to prison sentence.
Yeah,
You know, it happens almost
And
immediately.
I'll never forget when I was so like just 2 years, you know, into AA, kind of sort of white knuckling a little bit, but I'm in prison, right? And I was in the East Room. I look over and I meet this dude named Chad. He looked like he just didn't belong there. I'm like, man, he like straight teeth and everything, right?
Straight teeth always a good voice.
Yeah.
Drug addict, you're good.
Yeah.
Get your
I'm
shit
like,
together.
I'm like, man, you don't look like you belong here. He goes, oh yeah, I belong here. He had graduated ASU with an MBA, inherited 3 state farm agencies from his family that he ran for 2 years. He'd always have a couple of hardballs on a Friday before he left.
Like a gentleman.
Like a gentleman, right? Blew a .13, blew through a light, killed 2 people, 28 years. I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's enough. It was just running into stories like that over and over and over again. Or the dude, you'd see him come in for a DUI or something, and 2 years later they leave a full-blown heroin addict. It was just like witnessing that stuff for so long. I just know that in lieu of studying recovery and going through that and just observing and talking to people and hearing their experience and their stories, I just never look back.
And it's hard because we don't want to live in the past, but we can't forget it either.
Yeah.
Because I can't forget what will happen if I don't keep this thing under control.
Yeah.
Because it'll happen so quick. I'll be underwater immediately and won't be able to get out of water.
The crazy part is I'll be
No friends.
I'll be okay with it so quick. And once I cross that line,
Oh yeah.
I'm very comfortable in that world.
Yeah.
Right? So as soon as I make a step over that line, I get to do all this stuff again, and that being that person and all that stuff terrifies me. Like you talked about not wanting to look back because of stories like that, right? Today, no big deal. I spent a day literally on a prison yard outside. And obviously we're there, we're being purposeful, we're promoting hope, we're talking about not just the company I work for, not just New Freedom, but we're having conversations with guys there. We're engaging, we're joking around, we're connecting, connecting. And man, after about an hour and a half, I was like, it is hot here.
Yeah. It's 110 today.
Oh, it was hot.
Yeah.
And we're out there on that prison yard, and I lived on that exact unit.
Same unit.
It's not cold inside either.
No.
Ever on Bachman. And I'm like, oh my.
Swamp coolers.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God.
We used to carry our fan. I remember one summer, it was during the monsoon. You could see rain clouds, but nothing would hit the prison. No water.
All around it.
All around it. Storm. Hey, you would have to carry your fan, remember? You'd have to carry your fan to your friend's place, plug it in, use his electricity for $1.50 a month, and to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And our boxes would fold into themselves.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a horrendous place. I want to touch back on what we were talking about. How the mind can trick us. One of the things that comes to mind to me is like, how quickly does my mind immediately go back to thinking of the good times? Those few short instances of when I was selling drugs or using drugs, when it was actually enjoyable. It just completely blocks out all the negative. I mean, it's real easy for me to sit here and tell you, the cars I drove, the drugs I sold, the money I had, the women I had, but I can't look you in the eye and tell you about, the time I stole the Christmas cards off my grandma's tree and took all the $5 bills out of them because I was so strung out and I wanted to get high and I didn't have any money.
Those stories get left off the yards, right?
Those stories don't get told, because when we glamorize and romanticize, the addiction, we don't look at the big picture. I don't look at the 17 years I've spent in prison. I don't look at all those rough days. I don't look at all that heartache, all that terror, I just look at those couple of good times because I'm so clouded in denial that I don't want to see things as they really were because I don't want to accept my life for what it really was.
Absolutely. And that's it's definitely not talked about enough, right? And
it's not the truth if it's not.
Absolutely.
It's not.
Absolutely.
You gotta look at all of it.
Looking back, most of my drug use, and the cool thing now, like for me, when I look back, even at the time where I wasn't necessarily struggling financially or bouncing from hotel to hotel or any of that stuff, I still can't see that, or I don't see any of that stuff as enjoyable anymore. Like, I don't remember any of that stuff.
It was just full of non-goal oriented, repetitive,
Yeah.
It was fantasy. The world of make-believe. It wasn't real.
No. Yeah.
I get so stuck sometimes. Non-goal oriented, repetitive movements. I'm like, dude, when is this gonna end?
Yeah, we went to the all-staff meeting yesterday, right, at work, Jesse and I, and we're walking in there, and do you remember that Justin said something to me about, I can't believe that, and you go, or it's amazing or something, and you're like, it's amazing that we're sober, right?
How true of a statement is that?
100%. The way we look at things, like, again, I talked to somebody today about giving things the respect and the value that they deserve, right? Whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's health. And the example I used was, I went to the doctor, right? Got a health check, and I used to slam drugs and use drugs and everything for years and years, and alcohol and all that stuff, and treated my body like trash, and poisoned myself every chance I got.
But nothing was wrong. You
No,
were a good dude. You had it under control.
Everything was perfect. Those were the good times. That's what I look back on. It was fucking awesome. But when I went to that doctor appointment, I got handed that slip of paper and gave me a clean bill because I had hepatitis C. Right. Thankfully, I was able to get cured while I was in the Department of Corrections. I no longer have that. And I went to this doctor for a checkup, and my bill of health came back clean. So I said, "Oh, thank you." Grabbed it, walked out to my car, threw it on the seat, came home. Didn't think twice about it. Didn't even think about it again. Next morning, I brushed my teeth, and I was just like, "Man, I didn't give that any value." Now, flip that. If I would have gone to that doctor and gotten some unhealthy news, I would have dwelled on that for weeks and weeks and months and beat myself up and just stressed out about everything else over it. Being able to value the good stuff instead of just take things for granted, that's a huge thing.
It's like last week, the little things. It might have seemed like a little thing, but that's a huge thing. You know, you could have had, potentially you could have, got some really bad news.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of people that get that news regularly.
Absolutely.
Very lucky.
Absolutely, man. And it's just between that and then that comment the other day, because that put things in perspective, because our lives are pretty great, right? We love what we do. We all have a place to live with a roof over our head. These are like huge accomplishments. I lived in hotels all across this valley forever.
Motel 6 Northern Indian School, Easy 8.
Whatever they had on, what was it? I was going to say HubSpot, not HubSpot, but I'm so caught up in the CRM stuff. There was some hotels.com. They would have these little deals. So you buy like a 3-star hotel in this area. You couldn't even pick your hotel. It would just be a 3-star hotel in this area. And then I get like, one of the weekly rental places, whatever, for like $80 a night. I'd be all happy. I didn't have to worry about being unhoused for 3 days and thinking I'm falling.
Yeah. Out of control.
Yeah, I don't miss any of that fucking shit, man.
No.
None of it. I don't miss any of it all. But I do cherish every single interaction we get to have, even the bad ones, even the uncomfortable ones. Like, I'm so appreciative that I'm able to call one of you guys, or call my son, or call my family, and like be able to have it. Because now I'm not covered in shame. Shit does go wrong, and that's okay. Like I don't internalize it like, oh, this happened because I just robbed and stole from 87 people today.
Yeah, we're not burning bridges as we go, so we don't have to look over our shoulders. We have friendship. We can answer our phone. We can walk out the front door. We don't have to look over our shoulder and worry about running into somebody.
Yeah. Well, like I do. I don't know if that ever goes away.
I think about this stuff all the time. Not all the time, but sometimes I think about it.
Yeah.
Whoever knows that I broke into their house. All they have to do is have a really bad day.
Yeah.
I'm that dude.
Could be.
Spider's gotta fly.
What's it?
Got a flag.
Not my circus, not my monkey.
Not your spider?
Yeah, not my spider.
Not your spider.
Not my spider, not my web.
Yeah.
I seen all these cool ass t-shirts on Facebook about an hour ago.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, not my circus. A friend of mine says that all the time too. Not my circus, not my monkey.
Yeah.
And just it puts things in place.
It sure does.
Puts things in place. What do you got on the horizon, man?
Well, what we all have on the horizon is coming soon. Outlaws to Advocates merchandise. Beanies, hats, tank tops, shirts, sweaters soon.
Did you get 23 of them so all of our listeners can have 2?
No, because if we subtract ourselves, we only need 20.
Alright, perfect. That's so awesome, man. And it's getting to do this, man, like on Wednesday, like honestly today, I was trash coming home. I'm like, oh my God, I got the podcast.
Really long day.
Yeah, I got the podcast, dude. I got the podcast. And Bachman, the setup, there's only one bathroom.
Yeah.
So we're out there pounding water because it's 110. And then just like prison, I gotta go wait on a cop to open the door.
You didn't go out there and use the fountain?
One of the many places we've all lived over the years. At some point.
Yeah.
At some point.
We had females with us too, and a friend of ours, Kelly, she's like, you guys just pee outside? I'm like, I never thought about it before, but yeah. You got the water fountain,
Yeah.
the urinal, the phone.
Yeah, if you're peeing in prison, the water fountain is not far.
Here's the story what goes on here.
The water fountain is not far.
The water fountain slash toilet slash
Laundromat.
laundromat, all that stuff. It's all there
Cooking.
for us. That's the cool thing though, man, because the travel time is a lot shorter. You know, I used to teach like 6 classes a day, and it'd be 1 minute between each classroom. Now I teach 2 classes a day, or got 2 appointments, and it takes me an hour to get to each one. Time management. Back to the whole time. My boss even told me today at work, I have an event, or we have an event in October. He's like, hey, is that on the calendar? I said, yeah, it's on there. He looks, he's like, man, I'm ringing your neck. I said, why, dude? He's all, travel time. We gotta put travel time on there.
Yeah.
I always forget that. You guys start today. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna take us 45 minutes to get there, so we gotta back up the calendar time. Like these things, like not things that I see yet.
You need a personal assistant. You're gonna get there.
I have one, usually Jesse, but
But yeah.
he's been slacking. He's got this new job.
Still
now.
waiting to get paid.
Checks in the mail. Dude.
Yeah.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I really appreciate you guys coming through tonight, having a conversation with us, just getting to chop it up with the 3 of us again. You know, we got guests coming back, I think, again next week. Actually, a friend of yours contacted me earlier today.
Which one?
I don't remember her name because I'm terribly mean. But yeah, so we do have some stuff on the horizon, and we'll get some things figured out. But man, it's
What about Thornhill? Did you say he's gonna come on?
absolutely not. I haven't even
Didn't
asked. No. No, sir. No, sir. So things are good for me. They're good for you.
Never been better.
You got anything else? What was that quote you wanted to tell us?
That quote.
You said you had a really good quote, or some piece of wisdom you want to leave with us.
I didn't necessarily have any wisdom plan, but the wisdom that I do have is, you know, if you're out there struggling, and I really believe this, any people can't recover the people that are dead. And I believe that anybody can change. We're all living proof of that. A lot of our friends and the people we associate with are proof of that. And there is a better life out there than the one you're living. If you just feel like you're underwater and you can't stop, you can. We're here to help. Any one of us will help you at any time. And there's a lot of help out there.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Well, I love you guys. Y'all good?
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Have a great night. We'll talk to you soon.